Okay, bodice ribbon work part 2. Me and my beading thread had a fight. Okay, so now that you've done your lazy daisy, I did the lazy daisy first because that way it's kind of tucked in behind the white ribbon in the bodice to make it a little fluffier. So you are going to take your river silks and you're going to cut a really small section, and it seems crazy. You've got your beading needle and your beading thread. I double knot at the end, and I also double my beading thread in my needle. So I just, tie a knot at the very end, and that's how I always bead, is I double. I think it just is more secure that way. Ignore my cat and his feelings about me being gone for 4 weeks. But you're going to take your tiny piece of ribbon and you're going to make a loop like this. And coming from the back, you are literally just going to take your needle and come through so that your knot is in the back. Sometimes I'll even run it under some stitches, but since there's other ribbon already on the canvas, it's kind of going through that. And you are literally going to place your loop wherever you choose. So this is when I need my mother's stand. But you are just going to literally, sorry, this is kind of hard to film. You're going to take your loop and kind of tack it down wherever you want it to be. And if you need to do it in little parts, that also happened to me a lot. So maybe you just take, excuse me, cat, I love you dearly, but you cannot be on my lap right now. Sorry. You're just going to literally tack it down. So you're going to come up through the ribbon and what am I stuck on? I'm stuck on something. Oh, because I came up. Okay, since I had already come up, I'm gonna just literally go through this hole that I've now created in my ribbon. And if I don't want to do that hole, I can create another hole, and it's fine because you're gonna literally tuck it in and it will be all okay. So now I've kind of made a hole, and I'm going to pop through and make the rest of my loop. Sorry. So if you kind of need to pop through and you want this to be a pretty big loop, you can make a big loop, you can make a small loop, whatever you feel like you need to do. And you're just gonna kind of tack down sections. This is getting stuck. Hold on. Beep, beep. And you're just going to keep doing it. You're just going to keep getting little pieces of ribbon and tacking it down until you kind of make the look that you want. And you can tack it down more. Like I would probably, like it's kind of hanging, so I would take this little piece down here and I would come up and using, because this is clear, it's not going to show, and you're just really kind of fluffing as you choose. And so I did lots of tiny little loops, and it seems counterintuitive, and you're just going to keep doing it until you find the way you like it. And you might need to rip out sections, and that is totally fine and totally normal. And you might need to cut off sections of the ribbon until you kind of fluff it the way you want to fluff. So like with this, I might want my loop to kind of paste down a little more instead of being very open like that. So you might pop it in over here and pop your ribbon down a little more. But if you don't like that, you can always cut this whole section out, and you're just going to keep doing this. So this little section of ribbon I could cut off, or I could even loop it a little more and kind of fluff there. And yeah, I did lots of little tiny loops, so it just kind of depended. And then I would just like cut off this end and just keep like ruffling essentially your ribbon. So I'd grab another little section, cut, and I mean, I did some sections that, yeah, were this tiny, like maybe 2 inches, and even just did like held the loop, popped it in, and did that. And then we'll do like another section, and then you can just cut off these ends when you're ready to. But yeah, you can tack it down as much as you want or as little if you want it to be really movable, or you can come in and tack this down, and you can tack it any way you want. You can also tack your ends down here, like if you wanted to kind of fluff this back to hold that section. If you don't feel like making a loop right there, you just wanted it to be kind of ribbony, you could do that. So it seems crazy when you're doing it, but I promise you the end result looks great. Yeah, you're just kind of making lots of little loops with ribbon and tacking them down where you kind of want them to be. So once you do all that, it will be time for beads. And I somehow made a loop inside my beading thread, but I'm going to cut off these little edges and we'll get to beading.